Hi everyone, good morning, and once again, welcome to another episode of video lecture for 21st century literature. So I decided not to call for a live session because this introduction would just be a very short uh period, right? So here in this discussion, I will be tackling about the introduction of unit number 4 in Philippine speculative fiction. So there are several literary pieces in this unit which will catch your interest in terms with your imagination, and at the same time, how do you paint a picture of a character that you want to become or the character that you love in a movie? Because all of us it is embedded in our culture already that Filipinos are good in terms of fictional stories, right? However, when we talk about fictional stories, are we only talking about the speculations, the imaginations, or its fictional genre in nature? Or there's something deeper in these fictional stories that we are tackling, right? Those are the questions that we will be answering. At the same time, I will be introducing some key points that you can use related to the flicker fade gun that I asked you to read, which when I asked this question during face to face, have you ever asked yourself if you want to disappear and you go to a world where everything is under your control? All right. So that's the thing, or those are the things that this video will be discussing, and hopefully you'll be enjoying this one. All right. So we have to ask the question first. Why do you think video games are addictive? Some of you might relate in this particular question because maybe some of you had a phase or is having a phase in their lives right now that they're being addicted already with the video games that they play. Valorant, Mobile Legends, Call of Duty, etc. Right? But why does this becomes addictive for everybody? Some might say that, oh, it's fun to play. Some might say I can use this as an escape for the dark moments of my life because I'm not happy anymore. Right? So these are several answers that you might want to ponder. And if you have an answer to this question, maybe you can pause this video and try to reflect. Why do you think video games are being addictive? Okay. Now, in this lesson, we're going to define what is science fiction, right? And why is it being used in games, in movies, and etc. Okay. Watching science fiction helps our society and our readers to tackle certain social reality. This is the answer to my question in the first part of this video that when we talk about science fiction, are we only talking about the imagination, the creativity of the characters, everything that is flying around in the sky, or everything that talks about superpowers? Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, I mean, there is a deeper sense of that because each science fiction tackles a social reality that is being or that is happening in the society. Because of this, because of the existence of science fiction, our reader, all right, has an idea or is getting the sense of deepening their understanding of what is this social reality all about. They're exhibiting exotic settings, they're escapist in nature, Therefore, our audience are being disturbed of this social reality, which makes them to definitely ask themselves what is happening to the world. One good example of this, it is a sci-fi movie. If you have watched already 2012, that's a movie that talks about environmental change. That's too old. I'm so sorry, but yes, it's a sci-fi movie, right? If you watch Divergent, Insurgent. These are good movies that talks about sci-fi, but at the same time talks about social reality. So that's the significance of sci-fi or science fiction. So in video games and in the background knowledge of this sci-fi, and virtual reality, linking the two, it started when William Gibson described how gamers play in the 80s. All right? In the 80s, William Gibson said that the audience should be focused in the screen. All right? Um, just like this, just like when you are watching this video, you're focusing in my face or in the surrounding of the screen, right? So little by little, the attachment of the audience to the screen is deepening little by little. It has a lot of harms and advantages, or disadvantages and advantages as well, which will be tackled in this lesson moving forward. Okay? These games affect the mental health of this generation, right? If we're going to take a look at, there are more numbers of children who choose to stay at home and hold their tablet instead of going outside the streets and playing with other kids, right? So if you're going to take a look on that example or scenario, you have to ask yourself, why are these things happening? Okay, what are the effects of this or of these games that I am playing to my mental health? Right? I hope that this lesson will be able to help you in realizing that. Right? Now, we have to ask ourselves as well, what do we mean, Sir Pat, when we say virtual, right? So when we say virtual, guys, it is something that is not physically existing. For example, our virtual meetings. For example, our um virtual tour, your virtual games, all right, and etc. All right. So in 21st century literature, Flicker Fade Gone is one of the best examples of this virtual reality. But I hope you already read this story because I will be discussing this during the face-to-face classes. So in this video, I discussed some of the key points in Flicker Fade Gone, some of the importance of science fiction in the definition of science fiction. This ends, or this is where my introduction for virtual reality ends. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you all next video lecture. Bye, everybody.